Well, howdy, 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 and welcome back once again to the Withlacoochee River and the Withlacoochee River Report. Well, I'm running it right now on direct current as opposed to, so I've got the railroad hooked up to the DC power supply. It runs like it normally does, and you still get the jackrabbit starts. Not quite as bad as you do with the AC. But it does run. Well, I kind of figured it would, because you see with that bridge rectifier on that board doesn't care what power it gets, whether it's getting AC or DC. And just like the lights, your normal incandescent lights in the passenger cars, they don't care what kind of power they get either. I will say this about having that remote system. One thing, it keeps the passenger car lights from flickering too much. Probably caboose lights too. Oh! Had one of those thumbtacks hit the center rail right there, yeah. Off that dome car. It doesn't do that every time, but it does do it often enough. It does run a little smoother on DC than it does on AC. Of course, I hate those thumbtacks, those thumbtack uncouplers. Alrighty. I know, you're probably getting a little tired of seeing this engine and these passenger cars. So I promise you, by the next time I do a show, which should be probably in a few days, I'll probably do another Monday Night Madness, and we'll probably be working on something that will actually enhance the direct current here, the direct current operation of this layout. As I said before, I've got the DC power supply, I've got tons of these power packs. Hey, if anybody needs power packs, let me know. I've got tons of them. So what we will do, and now I'm not, like I said, I'm not about to go digging into the electronics on that F unit just yet. I'll get around to it, but you know, I'm a little skittish. I'm probably all thumbs when it comes to electronics. So, but let's talk about it. Okay, yeah, I'm probably all thumbs when it comes to electronics. Let me flip this thing around. We'll talk about certain. Okay. Here's what I'm looking at. Yeah, you notice I'm wearing my Chiefs t-shirt. I like this shirt. I've got two of them. My wife had bought me another one, mistakenly, of course, because she didn't realize I had this one. Well, she had to have known, because I bought it right in front of her, and then she goes and buys me another one, 6 months later? Oh, well. I don't mind. Anyway, let's talk about electronics and all the electronic gobbledygook. You know, I I don't understand why, with the model train world, the price of electronics hasn't dropped any. It really hasn't. When you think about it, what did a new computer system cost you back in 1985? About $5,000? That would include your computer. Then you probably had to pay for the keyboard and monitor too, as well as the mouse. Then you had to get the programs to run it because, well, you had maybe, 5 megabytes of storage space on the whole hard drive. And look what you got today, and look what you pay for computers today. My computer, when I bought it, and I bought that computer back in 2019, somewhere in there. And it's still going strong. Believe it or not, it's a Dell. But I bought it back then, and it was just over $1,000. But I had a whole bunch of custom stuff in it too. It's got a custom graphics card. It's got all that extra in it. So mine was a little more expensive. My wife's was about $300 and something. And the only thing it didn't come with was a monitor. That was the only thing you had to buy extra. And of course I did. I bought an extra monitor. 2 monitors, actually. We bought 2 computers. Now her computer has already gone kaput. She's already on computer 3 or 4 from since then. Well, that's what you get with a cheap computer. And I understand that. And that's regardless of manufacturer. But you've noticed that the prices have come down on almost all electronics. I remember when a stereo system back in the early 60s, my brother bought one. It was about $200. And in 1963, 64, 65, 66, somewhere in there. And it included an AM, FM radio and speakers and a turntable. And it was almost $200 then. And, stereo systems stayed about that well into the 1970s. And then they started dropping in price all of a sudden. And then come the 1980s, you saw there was a big boom in electronics when computers started taking over everything. And I mean, IBM was big, Apple was getting big, everybody was big now all of a sudden. And computers, televisions were even dropping in price. I remember it wasn't all that many years ago. Well, maybe it was 20 or 30 years ago. You'd go buy a computer or a TV set, which still had the CRT in it, but it had all the other electronics that had lowered the price of your TVs considerably. Now, the fact that the TVs were probably all being made in China by then probably helped lower the price as well. But good grief, I think we bought several 19-inch, 24-inch, 25-inch TVs that they were under $100 a piece. Just about then, they started coming out with the flat screen TVs. And, of course, the flat screen monitors were already on the market. And for computers, anyway. And the reason I'm giving you this kind of a history is to understand why is it that the prices of model railroad stuff never seems to follow suit. The electronics we pack into our model trains don't seem to follow suit. You know, all you see Athearn locomotives do in HO scale is go up in price. All you see from Broadway Limited in HO scale, it goes up in price. And in scale goes up even higher in price. Now, I know some of that's demographics and has something to do with it. O scale has shot through the damn roof. And you add those electronics in, and yeah, I realize they're updating them and stuff like that, but still, the electronics You know, for the amount of time that you're going to get out of those electronics, they shouldn't be charging you as much money as they're charging you. Average, I remember when I was doing HO scale, your DCC and sound on an, included in an Athearn engine would run F units almost up to $500 for a pair of F units, both powered units, and of course DCC and sound. And I'm sorry, but oh yeah, they added on a bunch of cheap details that fall off if you look at them wrong, because it's all made in China. How many of those locomotives, how many of those Athearn locomotives are running today? I tell you what, I imagine a few of them are. But I can tell you this much, the old Athearn blue box engines, many of those are still running, period. And they don't have all that electronic stuff in them. Lionel, they haven't been making TMCC for years. They went to legacy and, well, rightfully so, never looked back. But now they're charging you through the nose for it. And they keep updating it so they can keep charging you through the nose for it. There's no competition for it. And it's the same thing. Lionel finally stopped providing TMCC technology to other manufacturers. So now Atlas O, instead of running the old Lionel command control, they're now running DCS. They're now running Proto Sound 3. You're getting essentially the same. You weren't, Lionel was not about to give them the same stuff that they get in the legacy engines. It was not about to give Atlas O or anybody else what you got in the legacy engine. They were not about to give that up. Oh, heck no. Not on somebody else's engine. Now, if somebody wants to buy the components and put that in their Atlas O engine, that's one thing. But Atlas went to MTH. MTH nowadays with their Proto Sound 3 and their new TCIU or whatever it is, they're a little superior to Lionel now. Lionel would like to claim otherwise, but yeah, right. What if a third player could come in here? Because, you know, in O-Gauge, you've only got two manufacturers that are offering you full control systems. And it's been proven that some of these guys that will put in a custom system for you, I mean, I've always felt that you could take gut a Lionel or MTH engine and put in DCC and sound. You could run NEC DCC decoder and Tsunami sound system in it without any trouble. And with Soundtrax bringing out the Blue Nami, there's been a number of manufacturers that have switched over. And Blue Nami, yeah, it's a little expensive, especially in O scale. It would add a couple of $100 to the cost of an engine. However, for what Lionel's charging, say for whatever they bring out in Legacy, you yank those electronics out of that Legacy unit and put in a Blue Nami system, which I feel is superior because it simplifies everything. It's simple. It puts everything down to one board. You don't have, you're not filling that tender or that diesel engine between the motors full of electronics. You got one little board, and that one little board is enough to power up. Of course, with Blue Nami, you have to have a bridge rectifier. You do not want to throw 12 volts AC through that Blue Nami decoder. That would fry your $200 decoder. So I would say probably your best bet is to if they, I mean, if they're already offering them for sale. Yeah. Now, maybe at a discounted rate, if Lionel, Atlas O, MTH would offer it as an alternative to what they've already got put out, what they already put out, then, your average layout that runs on DC or AC, you don't need that bridge. You don't need all that extra Lionel stuff or all that extra stuff from. Now I realize that MTH and Lionel want to sell you that extra stuff, but and I get that, but the alternative should be offered in brand new locomotives. Give them the alternative. Most of your HO manufacturers, it doesn't matter what decoder you use. They're following standards. And in O scale, if you're doing 2-rail, you're going to be under those same NMRA standards as far as your DCC goes. So, but if they're, they line, it just really burns me up. Lion Chief is another. That stuff is total crap. I wouldn't give you a plug nickel for a Lion Chief engine today. Okay, maybe I'd give you a wooden nickel for it, and that's about it. Because let's face it, they're just not worth it. I've got an 080 sitting over here that's all tore up. Can't figure out where the pickup wires are coming from off of the rollers, because the rollers are connected to little brass things inside through the screws, and that's how they pick up power. And then you wonder why the damn things don't last very long, because it's cheap. They've gone cheap. And yeah, I get it. Some of the old electronics from MTH were not any good either. Excuse me. But I feel that I believe that Blue Nami is probably more the wave of the future. Here's let me give you the pros of the Blue Nami decoder. You buy one decoder per locomotive that's powered. And of course you'll need a speaker. You get it installed. And you don't need to go and have one of these or any other kind of remote. You don't have to worry about the power pack running it, and all you do is turn the power pack on. Of course, if you've got a passenger train, the lights all come on. And then you fire up, and of course the decoder gets powered up. And that's all it takes. And on your phone or on your tablet, as long as it can broadcast in Bluetooth, that's all you need. That's what the Blue Nami is all about. It is a Bluetooth receiver. It is a Bluetooth decoder. I've watched Norm Charbonneau or whatever, however I'm sorry if I bastardized his name any. But Norm's trains, you can find him on YouTube. He's done 3 locomotives now. He's done an H10, a Penzie H10, a Penzie M1A or M1B. I know it was a 482. And then he's done an old Atlas GP9. And he's got Blue Nami decoders in all of those. And the sounds the sounds that they make, the sounds that they put out are phenomenal. I was especially impressed with the diesel sounds for his GP9. It sounded like a GP9. The sweet hum that comes in, the hum of that 567C motor coming out from under that Jeep's hood, it was phenomenal. And of course, and you've got choices. You can sit there and you've got a whole bunch of different CVs you can set up for your sounds. There's none of this business of none of this nonsense of taking and putting in a whole bunch of having to sit there and program your locomotive for hours on end. And a lot of there's still a lot of modelers out there. They love the idea behind DCC, but when they did try it, or when it was tried on their club layouts, how many clubs have died now because they went to DCC a little too early, and they spent more time working on that DCC system than they did running trains during open houses, at train shows. You name it. They spent more time messing with that DCC system and trying to get it to work and get the bugs out of it. And, how many people lost interest in model trains after that? When they could have been running DC and just have 3 blocks on their 3 main lines or 2 main lines or whatever, and maybe a little branch line on the side. Whether they're running in track, HO track, or O track, it doesn't matter. They got away from DC and messed a lot of things up. Why hasn't Line L gone all DC? Nobody knows. Probably it's more traditional there, because you got a lot of people that love those old Line L ZWs and whatnot, and they like those big power packs, and they like running it on AC, and they think they're hot. But you can run everything that Line L has made in the last 40 years on DC. You can run everything Line L makes on a DC platform. Their motors are not pure AC motors. The old Polmar motors, they're not pure AC motors. They're AC-DC motors. They're combo motors. So they would run. Now, you can't throw a switch to reverse the polarity, but you can run them. And if you're running an old Line L engine on your DC powered layout, the E unit will work the same way. Whether it's mechanical or electronic, it doesn't. The E units, as long as it's functioning, will work the same way. So, anyway, I just feel we need to get that. We need to get things back into reasonable cost here, and nobody's bothering to do that. It just seems like everybody's doing their thing and just, and willy-nilly here in the O-gauge world, nobody really wants to do that. Yeah, Line L or MTH should be able to run each other's systems. Supposedly they do. Yeah, that's why you're finding a lot of guys out there that have both. Because they love this batch of locomotives they've gotten from Mike Strainhouse, and they love this batch of locomotives they've gotten from Line L. And unless they do a lot of switcheroos inside the locomotives, one way or the other, they've got to have both systems. So they're not compatible. They'll sit there and tell you they are, but they're not compatible. Sure, I don't have any of that. Now I've got two MTH diesels myself. I don't have DCS. I don't have that system. They've got decoders in them. They run fine on AC, on regular AC. And now the cool thing is my RS1, you can't shut the power off and then turn it back on to get it to reverse. But what you can do is throw the direction switch and it'll reverse. So it does work that way, which tells me that DCS is probably much closer to DCC than Lionel's nonsense will ever be. And that brings me to the point, well, when the electronics go bad, and you know that they are going to probably go bad at some point, you can take and gut the engine out, wire directly to your motor. Now, if you just want to run it one direction, yeah, go ahead and put in a bridge rectifier and continue using your AC power. If, on the other hand, you want to run you want to be able to run both directions, or, well, either you get a new set of new boards, which, are those even available? Are they even available? Often? No, they're not. Let me turn this light off here. All right. Don't want to run my battery dead. Anyway, so, just wire it up and run. And if you want sound it, go with DCC if you want to, or go with Blue Nami if you want to. A lot, like I said, and Sid's Trains has done several of those conversions now. And I imagine there's probably a lot more people out there who have done the conversions that I don't know about. I only know about a couple of them because these are guys I regularly watch on YouTube. So, I think that little decoder, that little Blue Nami decoder, is definitely worth looking into. And I think other manufacturers might want to look into the possibility of making something similar that works the same way. They could possibly even use, they could possibly even piggyback off of Soundtrax's technology a little bit. In fact, Soundtrax would probably do well to share the technology. I don't know how many people know what actually happened between and why VHS took off and Betamax didn't. And they were both there for a long time together, but why the two different platforms, why did VHS wipe the floor with Betamax? The reason is because Panasonic owned VHS, owned the VHS format. Sony owned the Betamax format. Sony, you had to pay them to use their technology. Whereas Panasonic shared the technology for free. All they required was that they get to build all of the machines. So if you had a VHS back in the day that said RCA on it, or it said some other brand, or Admiral or some other brand on it, your VCR was still built by Panasonic. And I can assure you that everybody, that the Betamax manufacturers did the same thing. They had to pay for the technology, though, to have Betamax. Betamax had a better picture. Betamax did have this, Betamax did have that. But VHS was able to sell for less money. And you know the old saying, make a better mousetrap and the world will be the path to your door. Build a better, cheaper mousetrap and the world will really beat a path to your door. And this is where I think that Soundtrax is now with their Blue Nami decoder. They have created the better mousetrap. They could make it a little cheaper. I'll agree with that. The price could come down a little bit, but they don't really, the technology is there now. And somebody, especially somebody who's looking to have a little bit of sound and stuff on their layouts, they can have it now without having to go out and buy the Digitrax base station or the NEC base station or any of these relays and stuff, because all your engine requires is power. All it requires is a little DC juice. And the app does everything else for you. That's the future. That, I believe, is going to be the future of model railroading. And that, I feel, and this is my own personal opinion, I could be wrong. Speaking of opinions, if you like my opinions, great. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share the video. If you don't like it, well, don't. But be sure to like and subscribe and whatnot. And by golly, let's run this train a little bit more, shall we? Cut! Yeah, I wanted to keep the passenger train on the track for a while and run it for a while. Because, let's face it, I don't get to run it too often. But I'm going to have to pull it off here, and then, of course, I'll pull those engines off for a while. See, you're not getting good slow speed operation there. Although, it picks it up a little bit sooner on your controller here, running it on DC. And it runs a little smoother, so I will give it that. All right, until next time, happy railroading. That's what the momentum triggered on the DC power pack. And that MTH and diesel there is fully bone stock, so I have done nothing to that. Okay. That's nice to see that momentum working so well. Anyway, I thought I'd give you all a little treat today. You know I've been running that passenger train for a while, so it was time to give you a little bit of freight. So anyway, I was running the power pack with the momentum, and the momentum works fine with this MTH RS1. So what, who's to say? Who's to say? Anyway, I'm very happy with it so far. Now to just get everything else, because I'm going to have to switch some over to DC anyway. Complete DC. I'm sure that the Alco RS3 I've got is going to have to be switched over to DC completely. Yes. Pretty sure of it anyway. Anyway, until next time, happy railroading.